following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to the WZWA Network review show of the very first AEW Rampage in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I have two esteemed co-hosts here with me today to review this show. First and foremost, I'm going to introduce my usual partner when we review AEW, the one and only Joosey Boy. How are you?
Yep. Great to be here, guys. Hell of a show. Excited to dissect it.
Yep. Excellent, bro. And of course, my other co-host, you might have seen him on the Insider's Edge podcast. Here's the one and only Mr. 55 Live, Jack Savage. How are you, Jack?
I'm well. I woke up early on a Saturday to watch some AEW. Now here we are.
Yeah, this is a rare one for me, actually waking up before 11 a.m. on a Saturday. Unprecedented. Speaking of unprecedented, okay, AEW Rampage. This is the first episode of this fucking new show that AEW have now got going on TNT, I suppose. Okay, first and foremost, I want to go to Jack. Because you had something to say about this when we were watching it together. The show opens and it's the exact same stage as Dynamite. Your thoughts?
I don't know what's happened with wrestling, guys. Like, I don't know what has happened with these promotions and being creative. Like, I really like AEW's stage that they use on Dynamite every week, but I don't need to see it on every other show. And this is fucking this is even worse in WWE's case. They are fucking the worst for this shit. They are the biggest criminals I know for doing this, and it's getting worse and worse as time wears, but that's not for this show. I felt like Rampage would have been an opportunity to really, set that show apart from Dynamite. Not necessarily, make it fucking, like Raw and SmackDown, where they need their own separate brands, but give it its own feel, give it its own image. It really felt like at times tonight, and I'm probably going to say this a little bit also in the other matches, that we're just watching another episode of Dynamite, but much shorter. There was nothing that really set the vibe apart, and I felt like it let me down at first. But that's just me. I have a eye for these sorts of things. I enjoy the aesthetics, and I enjoy branding and all that sort of stuff. And they didn't. They could have done so much more.
Yeah, it's kind of like it just looked the exact same as Dynamite, and I think they've had weeks, months to figure out what they were going to do for what Rampage was going to look like. And to me, the intro was different, obviously, but it didn't feel any different to let's give an example. Sunday Night Heat looked way different to Raw.
Yep.
The logo, the music, the feel. Obviously the stage was the same though, but I just think they had a lot of time to think about what they were going to do with Rampage, and I think you're right. I think there's a lot of fans out there that like the stage being different, and WWE have been very plain and boring with that for a long time now with all their fucking video screens and shit. But it is what it is. DJ, what do you think?
Yeah, look, the first thing I want to touch on is the commentary situation. So you had Mark Henry, you had Schiavone, you had Excalibur, and you had Chris Jericho. There were too many commentators.
Sorry, I gotta cut you off there. Shivani was not on commentary.
Oh, who was the other fellow then? Taz, sorry. Taz, of course.
Yeah.
Taz, Excalibur, Jericho, and Mark Henry.
Yeah.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. Many cooks in the kitchen. Jericho especially was far too overbearing. He actually had a couple of lines here and there that I liked. And, you guys will probably touch on it as well. I really enjoyed Mark Henry's presence on the show and the way that he came across. But again, I just really felt like, too many cooks in the kitchen, especially where Jericho was concerned. I think Mark Henry, Taz, and Excalibur on their own as a three-man booth would be much more preferable going forward.
Yep, definitely. I feel like Rampage could be the Mark Henry show. Seriously.
Yeah.
He was great tonight. He was fucking great.
He did very well in his debut on commentary. Okay, so right out of the gate, the very first match in Rampage history is going to be for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. It's Kenny Omega, the champion, taking on Christian, I've probably got a little bit to say about it, but I went last with this time for the first one with Joosey Boy. So Joosey Boy, you're going to take us here for this first matchup of Rampage.
Yeah. So Kenny Omega, look, I've been talking about it the past couple of weeks about the tonal way that he presents himself on the shows in terms of I don't feel like he takes his job seriously. He had a fairly serious vibe for a lot of this match. However, his facial expressions and a lot of his body language was still really hammy, and it still kind of felt like he was trying to pull off some vaudeville act half the time with his sort of body language throughout the match. Christian looked great. He really came off, pulled this whole grizzled veteran look off really well. He's got a little gray in the beard these days, but he still looks in fantastic shape. Everything that he did in this match made sense. The counters to try to hit the kill switch made sense. The way that he had Kenny Omega's moves scouted made sense. And it looked like he'd actually done his homework on his opponent going into this match. They built it up quite well. They went through the feel-out process, as you'd expect. This match really started to heat up the more that it went on. Kenny Omega did all of his stuff, got all of his shit in. A couple of really great false finishes, which I'm sure you guys will touch on, that really had me into it. Towards the end of the match, the Young Bucks came in, and I thought, oh, God, here we go. It's Tiddlywinks with the fuck around gang again. I didn't think the Young Bucks needed to make a run in just so that they could put a chair into the ring for Omega to use and then just disappear again. Omega goes to use the chair, backfires, he cops a kill switch, 1, 2, 3. Great finish. I don't understand why Omega couldn't have just gone under the ring and grabbed a chair for himself because he's desperate and he knows he's about to lose this big match. That to me just was a little moment that, again, took me out of the match, momentarily. What had been a really heated, really quite a good match up to that point. It's just about them overdoing everything. Again, I find that being another pervasive problem over this show. But other than that, it was a great match. I'd give it a solid A- as an overall match, and interested to hear what you guys think of it as well.
Jack?
Yeah, look, look from the get-go, it's Kenny Omega match, so I'm already a little, they've got to do a little bit more to get me a little bit interested and just sort of really want to tune into this match, because normally when I see Kenny Omega on the screen, I don't care. Great to see Brian Hebner refereeing this match. I love to see that. And the thing that popped me the most out of everything on this match, just straight from the get-go, was the Christian taunting Kenny Omega, followed by flipping him off. Just amazing shit by Christian there.
Yep.
I'm really enjoying Christian's work so far in AEW. I feel like this match kind of, further proves that point. It was actually a great match overall. So again, this goes back to what I just said. They ended up being able to reel me in, and I ended up giving a shit in the end. And obviously, by all of our reactions, we all sort of screamed through our microphones and in absolute excitement over Christian winning that. But as the match for itself, like, Christian is smooth as silk. There's a beautiful sunset flip off the second rope by Christian, and actually a really good sell by Omega there. But of course, just the Young Bucks had to come out and just ruin a great match. As soon as they come out there, it was kind of just like, it was broad. I was up here, and then it just came down there for me. I was sort of just like, well, but of course in AEW there always needs to be some bullshit going on. It's whatever. It's whatever. Again, great result. Big fuck you to Omega, and Christian is the Impact champion for the first time since like 2008, and I'm happy about it.
Yep.
But overall, yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Great opening match. Personally, I wouldn't have put it as the opener if I was booking the show. But Christian looked fucking great. Kenny actually looked pretty good here too, and the finish was all right. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of lay off the finish a bit, because I think a lot of the stuff I was gonna say, I think you end up saying, Carl.
Right, no worries, bro. Yeah, look, I would say since watching AEW and having seen a few pay-per-views as well, this is the best Kenny Omega match I've seen. And I'm not going to be the one to say, oh, it's because he was against Christian, but it feels like because he's working with Christian's probably able to reel him in from utilizing his bullshit and the overkill that seems to take place with a lot of the stuff that he does. So I enjoyed the match from start to finish, except obviously for there was just a couple of little bits here and there. Like I didn't like Kenny throwing Christian to the outside, then to just run the other direction to do a baseball slider. Just why would you do that? I know it was to set up some other spot that was taking place a few seconds afterward, but that's just one moment of nonsense, I think. And it's a habit with some of these guys that are, work that indie style. They're always looking for that. They always like run the opposite direction when someone's just here. I hate that. I don't know why. It just really annoys me. But the thing I had the biggest problem with was the interference at the end, because Kenny's obviously Don is distracting Brian Hebner. Kenny is reeling right now, desperate to get some help to cheat to win this matchup. So he's calling the Young Bucks to come down. Now you would think with him being on the brink of losing one of his prestigious championships that the Young Bucks would be running out in a panic, like, shit, we got to fucking help this guy out. No, they come out, not the time and place to do that. If Kenny's just won the match and he calls him out for a celebration, that's when you come out strutting and acting like a tosser. But when it's a situation where panic is setting in, Don is panicked on the ring apron because it's like, shit, he has to do something to distract so Kenny can call out the Young Bucks. They shouldn't be strutting their stuff coming out. They should be coming out in a panic grab a chair, throw it into him if that's what they want to do, if they need to get the Bucks on the show. I still feel like after that low blow, Kenny could have rolled to the outside, grabbed a chair himself, and we didn't even need the Bucks coming out at all. So anyway, they come in, they slide the chair in, and then they fucking run off. Why? Like, stay at ringside just in case it backfires. I think the biggest issue I have with it, not only the entrance, but once Christian had hit that kill switch, got the 1, 2, 3, I would have liked to have seen the Young Bucks at ringside going, no, fuck no, we screwed this up. Kenny rolls to the outside. He's fucking devastated. Don's devastated. You want to see the heels get the comeuppance here just for a quick shot. Then you focus on Christian holding that belt and being like, with the Jurassic Express or whatever, celebrating the fact that he is now the Impact World Heavyweight Champion. That was I just didn't like the way that they went about the finish. I just don't see why they would run off and just leave him there in hopes that he didn't fuck it up, which he did. So Scott D'Amore also comes out, and then we head backstage, guys. Mark Henry interviews Christian, which was great. Jurassic Express there with the champagne, the bubbly. For some reason, Orange Cassidy's standing in the background. I don't know why. Jack, I'll go to you first. Any comments on this?
All I got to say is just Mark Henry and Christian together is just sick, man. Like Mark Henry and Christian, like, well, was it Christian that said to Mark Henry, like, oh, Mark, I'm so glad to see you here, man? Or was it the other way around?
Yeah,
I felt the exact same, man. Like, I'm just so glad to see you here.
Yeah.
But no, it was a good little feel-good little promo. Oh, I enjoyed it.
DJ.
But don't know what the deal with Orange Cassidy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, my comments about this thing, I just think it was a great promo, but it would have come across like 10 times more serious if it had just been Christian standing there alone. He still could have said, oh, hey, Mark, great to see you, because he's excited about having won the match and the Impact title. But you want to put over the seriousness of this world title match. I don't see why you needed Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy standing there in the background. And I definitely don't see why you needed Orange Cassidy to be standing way in the background trying to foreshadow some future match or some bullshit. Like, it's just let the seriousness of the title match speak for itself, and let that feel like a situation that's actually high stakes, and stop crowding it with all this other peripheral shit from the outside. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on that.
Well, I guess they had the Jurassic Express there with him because he's been kind of connected to them over the last couple of months or whatever.
I know, but it doesn't have to be every segment, though.
Yeah, fair enough. And Orange, I just don't know why he was in the crowd. Why is he now just standing there backstage watching on? I just don't understand the point.
He didn't do anything the entire show. It's
Yeah, I
just
don't
like they
know.
just wanted to get him on screen for whatever
Yeah.
fucking reason.
And he was
Anyway.
sitting in the crowd as well at one point.
Pardon me. Okay, so following up after this, Fuego Del Sol gets his own little promo video talking about getting his TNT title match, even though he's 1 win and 39 losses. So I don't know if I've missed something, why he's getting a TNT title shot. I thought the rankings and the win-loss records meant something. He gets this little promo video, and then, we get the match. I don't know. I don't think, I don't know. It's hard for me to, I'm going to let someone else take this away. Okay,
Yeah,
DJ, you go first.
So here's the thing. So I remarked a couple of weeks ago when Fuego Del Sol got the piss kicked out of him by Andrade and Chavo that I thought that segment was funny. The week before that, he got his head kicked off by Malachi Black, again in a humorous way. It was like kind of played for comedy. I was like, okay, that's kind of a running joke. This guy's sort of like the resident punching bag. Then he ends up with this fucking title shot, and you immediately know it's going to be a massive squash and that he has no chance. Yet, it's built up as if it's this kind of feel-good thing, and like, oh, I'm finally getting my chance, and I'm going to finally show something, even though I'm 31-1. You know, it's like, why are you even in a title shot like this? Not only do you not have a chance to begin with, but you really shouldn't even be there if the rankings matter.
What do you mean? You just said he's 39 wins and 1 loss. Like, he's pretty damn good then, DJ.
No, 39 losses and 1 win. Dumbass. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Get him heated.
No. But okay, so the match starts. Basically, all Fuego does is pretty much just fucking tornado DDT. 1, 2, 3 times he does the move. And because he attacked him before the bell rung, so Miro was caught off guard and he was kind of reeling. At no point, regardless, did I ever think Fuego had an opportunity of winning. Eventually, what we all thought would happen did happen, and Miro won in dominant fashion. He looked great. He ripped up the contract that Fuego Del Sol also would have won had he won the match, and it looked really good. It was a good heel moment for him, drew a good bit of heat. But then Sammy Guevara comes out alongside Tony Khan, who I don't understand why he needed to walk out onto the stage and say nothing. But anyway, they come out. Guevara walks down to the ring with what's clearly another contract, and the commentators are playing dumb like their children, going, oh, what's that in his hand? Like, what do you fucking think?
Looks exactly the same as what was in the fucking ring.
So he comes down and he cuts this kind of heartwarming promo about how he's proud to be the one to offer Fuego a full-time AEW contract, and Fuego is crying and they hug it out in the ring and the crowd pops. This seemed to be over with the crowd, but in my opinion, it seemed unearned based on how Fuego had been presented in the weeks preceding this. What did you guys think?
Jack?
Yeah, like, I was like the first to notice his fucking win-loss record when we were watching it. Like, Feugo going 1 for 39 is just hilarious. And then to be in this situation, I'm just like, fucking whatever. And then you got Miro, who's undefeated for this year. I don't know if he lost last year. I haven't paid much attention or enough attention, but I just know that he was going to go in that ring, destroy Feugo, and then go home and pile Lana. But anyway, in my eyes, like, the referee just completely sort of fucked that start, because as one of you guys said during the show, like, we always talk about how AEW just can't get the tag rules right. I know it's their style and they want to do things a little different, but like, just don't fuck with it. Just fucking leave it alone. And I don't like the fact just how inconsistent the referees do, like, sort of apply the rules in AEW. So as I was saying, then, like, the referees will like be leaning in tag matches, or a lot of, shady shit happens and they don't catch it, or they don't bother with it, or they just look at it and just fucking pretend it's not there. Whereas here, there's just like, you've got Feugo getting the quick head start on him and the really hot start on Miro, and then the referee just completely stops it. Like, you got to be consistent with the refereeing. That's all I got to say on that one.
It's just annoying, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, if you want it to be a big deal when the bad guy breaks the big rules, you've got to enforce the little rules so that it has an impact.
Like, it's just, you can't pick and choose. And I think I've said this on multiple AEW reviews now, you cannot pick and choose when the referees give a shit. The referees either give a shit or just go to fucking ECW rules. Like, seriously. But basically, the match sort of went how we all expected it to. Like, Miro just sort of, wiped the floor with him. Then Sammy Guevara comes out after the match and, gives him the contract. Thought it was amazing how the paper just came flying out and he just holds up the blank clipboard. That was amazing. Something had to go wrong and something went wrong, and I love it. And also the contract that Miro ripped up literally seriously just looked like a Word doc that I could have made in like grade 2.
Yeah, looks like someone made a contract for their yachting fed.
Yeah. Overall, though, I honestly, this is because I just don't know the context of this match. I don't feel like this should have been on the debut edition of a new show. This would have been great for Dynamite. This would have been a great Dynamite segment, but not for Rampage. I mean, if you wanted to make it, have fucking Darby Allin and fucking, I don't know, just not that match. It could have been something else. But that's just me.
I think it's important for Miro to defend the TNT title
It
in
is,
the first
but
episode, but it should have been a bit against a bit more of a formidable opponent. But then again, Omega and Christian already just did have a match that took nearly half the show up. So I guess it had to be a squash, but to build it up with this promo, he's not going to win. Again, like I said on that Dynamite review, DJ, foregone conclusion. We know who's winning this. And okay, so the match was what it was. And yes, the referee at the beginning, that did annoy me because, as Jack just said, it's like if you're going to enforce the rules that strictly on the fact that he attacked him before the bell, and you need to separate them before you can ring the bell, then I don't know. It just seems like in other instances it doesn't matter, but in this instance it did. And yeah, right at the end there, he hugged Sammy so hard that all the paper from the clipboard, I don't know. All the paper just fell on the fucking mat, and it was just, that final shot is what you're looking for. You're looking for that shot to put on social media. If you're looking at the contract and he's standing there looking at an empty clipboard,
I just hate, right, that AEW, because they fuck up so much, but it would be okay if they just acknowledged it and just made it funny or made a joke out of it, or just made fun of themselves for it. They never make fun of themselves for the mistakes they made, and they never fucking they've always got to try hide it or act like it didn't happen. And
makes it more obvious.
The barbed wire explosion, fuck me, man. That is the biggest example of this. I mean, if you had an opportunity right there for Eddie Kingston just to go
pushing him off of the cage onto the fucking mattress.
So many instances, but anyway.
Anywho, all right. We have a shot of Darby and Sting in the rafters, followed by a promo, I guess, rehashing what Darby said a few weeks ago about best in the world, and then they talk about the United Center. So they're kind of handing us this on a platter. It's becoming glaringly obvious what's going to be happening next week in Chicago, instead of maybe, I don't know, making it a bit more of a secret. But oh well. Is there anything to add there, guys? I don't think there is.
Not really. No.
It's just the show's moving along so much. It's a 50-minute show, including commercials, and I don't know. It just felt weird. It felt weird. This is another show because it's just so short that it just doesn't feel like it's another show. I don't know. I don't know how to explain.
You know what? I could say this about the Darby Allin thing, and it's only a one-sentence thing. It's another case of them overdoing it and bashing everything into the ground, beating that dead horse.
Yeah. Okay. We have this interview that Mark Henry's doing. He's in the middle. Red Velvet on one side, Britt Baker on the other. Britt fucking owned the shit out of her with this promo. It seemed like she was natural, knew what she was going to say, just rattled it off, came across natural. Red Velvet, it's just the same promo we've heard from the ladies in the wrestling world for years. Same kind of typical boring verbiage. And it felt like she was just reciting lines. What did you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, the dichotomy between Red Velvet and Britt Baker was just so evident. So Red Velvet was the first one to speak, and her promo came across like a tough enough audition video. A lot of the time, it was I'm gonna beat you and I'm gonna ruin your night again, and fucking it's a bigger deal than that to win a title off of somebody. You're not ruining her night. You're winning a title because you think you're the best and you deserve it. So she didn't get that idea across at all. And then she tried to kind of like chop Britt Baker down by talking a bit of superficial crap about her. Britt Baker, without missing a beat in about 30 seconds, obliterated Red Velvet. Even Britt Baker, like the background behind her was, filled with Britt Baker merchandise, which is showing people that stuff's available. And it had a couple of, I think, a couple of other trinkets there that sort of just kind of added to the whole presentation, whereas Red Velvet was just sitting in a weirdly lit room with nothing behind her. And it just kind of looked like Major League, Minor League. Red Velvet did not come across very well here at all. And it made me a little bit less interested to see the match after that promo.
Right. Jack, what did you think?
Never been interested in Red Velvet. She's just, And as you said, Carl, there's a theme going on with, Cody's graduates, but let's get into that when we get into the match.
Yeah.
Britt Baker just obliterated Red Velvet in this promo. I can't really add much more to it. DJ sort of took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, it must have been while he was kissing you.
Fuck you.
Okay. Look, I would have probably put this interview earlier in the show, not just before the match, because you're about to have a match. You got to start getting ready and warming up. While you wouldn't be calm enough to just be able to sit there and just talk. I feel like you needed to have a bit of separation there, even if you pulled the Darby and Sting shit between this promo and the match, then that would have been fine, because it would have looked like Darby and Stinger went all the way up there for the worst seat in the house for this match. Okay, main event time. As I said, this is a weird show because it's such a short show and there's 3 matches. Britt Baker Women's Championship on the line against Red Velvet. When we get to the talking about this match, guys, let's leave what happened after the match till after we talk about the match. Okay, Jack, go first. What did you think of the Women's Championship match?
Again, do not care for Red Velvet. I actually didn't write too many notes on this just because I was just like, I just couldn't get into this match at all. Like I feels like I've just been so negative this entire review, because if anything, I'm probably one of the more positive people about AEW out of the 3 of us. Or at least I don't see as much of the negatives. But this show just, I don't know, man. But getting to the main event, just the whole, like, it was so hard to just decide, like, or be able to see who was the heel or who was the face. And I'm sure you guys are going to say the exact same thing too. I understand, like, if Britt Baker wants to be like the cool face, like she wants to be like, like what Becky Lynch was trying to be, like, I get it. And I mean, I guess in today's wrestling, that is, what's cool. Steve Austin probably is responsible for all that, but when he was doing it, it was fucking cool.
Yeah.
But that's not knocking Britt Baker, man. I think she's actually doing a great job, but I just don't understand, doing so much heelish shit. And again, I'm going to leave the post-match stuff for you guys. But just the face manager getting ejected was silly. Red Velvet had also just kicked out of far too much out of the match. We already knew who was going to win. Again, going back to what you guys said, a foregone conclusion. And who at the end? Who? That's just, I'm going to let you guys take it from there because I don't
Okay. DJ, I'll let you be the one to go last. I'm going to chime in here and just say, in the previous time that I've watched any AEW, I've barely seen any Red Velvet. So I don't watch Dark. I don't watch Elevation. I don't watch any of those other shows. I'm not going to sit there and watch 26 matches. But, the other week, Britt cut this promo in the ring. She was interrupted by Red Velvet. Challenged to a match for this episode of Rampage. And then you have another 1 week to build it. And then we have the match. So I just don't think she has been established enough on television over the last few weeks to be in the main event of the first episode of Rampage. We peaked after the first match, and there was only one way this show could go from there. So you have such an epic match between two established characters like Omega and Christian. You have established Britt Baker, but Red Velvet's not the person to be put in this position in order to maintain, I guess, the prestige of the show and it being the main event when, as I've just said, Omega and Christian opened the show. So perhaps they should have switched this around, but maybe they wanted to, have the women main event. But the match was okay. The tough thing about it was in Britsburg, so it's in her hometown. They're going to cheer for her no matter what. So it's kind of hard to have a heel versus babyface match when the crowd are solidly behind the heel. So to have false finishes, to have, moments of Velvet with hope spots and fire and fighting back, and the crowd just boo it out of the building. It just kind of flips the script on what a wrestling match is supposed to come across as. But look, there was no way of avoiding it unless they put Britt in there with a heel and had her be a babyface for this match. Anyway,
Red Velvet's a babyface?
Yeah, she's supposed to be. She's supposed to be. But because they're in Britt's hometown, there's no way it's going to come across that way. So, look, the match ended. Britt had Velvet tap out. And DJ, you talk about the match, and then we'll get to this thing that happened afterward.
Yeah, so I mean, for the past few weeks when they've been building this up, Red Velvet has come across like the heel every step of the way. She was getting booed out of the building in the live in-ring promo. The crowd is just cheering. But really, this should have been a double turn because it's just not working presenting Red Velvet as a babyface, at least not against Britt Baker. This match really exposed Red Velvet. I think her selling looked really wooden. It didn't look natural. Everything that she did, it looked like she'd only recently learned it and, had maybe practiced it a few times. And it definitely didn't seem like it was organic, the way that she was reacting to things and just the way that her body was selling things throughout the match. I don't know if you guys thought that as well, but that was definitely coming across to me. She tried to put Britt's finishing submission on Britt and she flubbed it up and it looked really awkward and kind of went on for too long and had no impact. It was eventually counted anyway, but regardless, it still didn't look very good. Red Velvet definitely did not look in the same league as Britt Baker. And the whole face-heel dynamic did not work throughout this entire thing. I don't even really know what the goal was here, except for getting Britt Baker more over, which is fine, but it didn't do any favors for Red Velvet at all. So, yeah, this would have to be a D- for me. Wasn't a big fan of it. I mean, Britt looked great, but unfortunately, even she wasn't enough to compensate for Red Velvet's lack of experience.
Yeah, and as Jack alluded to earlier, I'm noticing a theme with Nightmare Factory graduates being put in prominent positions on primetime television, like Lee Johnson when he faced Miro. And right here with Red Velvet, they're lacking selling and they're lacking the facial expressions, finding the camera and being able to show that facial expression if you're in pain, telling the story of what's going on in the match, not just with your body selling, but also the facial expressions. So that is something that I think they're all they're doing is they're thinking about their next spot that they got to do. So they're forgetting about the character and forgetting about, the facial expressions. And people like a Lee Johnson, a Red Velvet, we don't know anything about them. They haven't given us a reason to care about them because we don't know anything about them. So again, some things with AEW when it comes to their writing, it's all well and good for people like Taz, for people like, because we already know them. We already know who they are from previous company and their television. But when you bring in new people up, we need to know who they are, what they're all about, so we can give a fuck.
Yeah,
so
you need to have.
What's
I
that,
was just
DJ?
gonna say you need to have like a log line for each talent, like 2 or 3 lines that when they first appear, you catch everybody up to speed. This is whatever their name is. They have wrestled for this promotion and this promotion. They are a former this champion. You know, they were trained by this person. A couple of lines just to give some context to who the fuck this person is would be really helpful for people that haven't tuned in before.
Or even just like the attributes of what their personality's like as well. Like, why is she called Red Velvet? Well, what is it that she likes in her life? You know, who is she as a human being? To me, she's just another like sassy black girl who, whatever. It's just like there's nothing there. So I just thought it was important, not interesting, but important to bring that up. That they still have a lot of people that they're putting out there that just aren't quite ready for these big spots yet. Let's get to it, guys. The end of the show, which was just like the biggest what the fuck thing. Everyone's expecting maybe something big to happen for the first episode of Rampage. At this point of the show, I didn't think anyone was going to debut or show up. But then you had Chris Statlander come out and attack Britt. And then Jamie Hayter makes the save, looking nothing like she did beforehand. Now, I want to say, I don't even know who she is because I wasn't watching in November of last year. She looks completely different to what she did before. So why is she wearing a disguise, a hat? She runs into the ring. She's got this hat on. She attacks. Everyone's like, oh, who is it? Who could it be? And she takes the hat off and no one knows who the fuck it is. And the commentators are, wait, that's. And then, of course, Excalibur finally spits, no, that's Jamie Hayter. And I'm like, who? What did he say? What was the name? And then DJ, I think he went, oh, Jamie Hayter. And I'm like, who the fuck is Jamie Hayter? Fucking Google search. Oh, she wrestled 2 matches in AEW last year.
In 2019, actually.
In 2019, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so nearly 2 years ago.
Yep.
She wrestled 2 matches in AEW, and we're supposed to pop and give a fuck as to who this person is when she makes this big, grand re-debut for the company. You're expecting when someone's wearing a disguise that when they take off the disguise, you go, oh, okay, wow, cool. If it's going to be a big debut, then you want a big name out there. You want it to be a female superstar that you know. And if it's someone that's going to be now in the corner of Britt Baker, then it better be someone that we should give a fuck about, not some person. And I'm not bagging on Jamie Hayter. I don't know who she is. It's not her fault. The company put her in this position. So anything to add, guys? Because this is a massive letdown.
Look,
What was
again,
Becky Lynch at first?
it needs to be like mentioned again, the same as I said in the Dynamite review a couple of days ago. Where's the connective tissue? There's nothing that the average fan, the casual wrestling fan that's tuning into this, has to go on as far as a reference for who this Jamie Hayter is. It's something that's trying to appeal to the smarkiest of the smarks, the internet wrestling fans, the hardcore internet fan base, and then acting like it's this mainstream thing and it's a person that everybody knows, which fucking pisses me off because it comes across condescending.
Even the crowd didn't pop, bro.
No one in the crowd the crowd was like sitting there in silence because they were deflated.
They were trying to figure out who it was.
We didn't really touch on it, but the way that they actually presented this, it wasn't just that Jamie Hayter come out. She came out in a mask. It was like a mystery woman, right? She was wearing all black. She had a balaclava on. She pulls it off. You're expecting it to be, oh my God, it's Trish Stratus. Oh my God, it's Maria. Oh my God, it's Melina. Like somebody that anyone actually has fucking seen before.
Oh my God, it's Medusa.
that it might be exciting to actually see them in AEW and see what they're going to do in this space.
Oh my God, it's
But
Barbara Bush. Like,
Oh,
fuck.
It should have
Like
been
it's-
Medusa, bro. Now
it
that
was
would have got
ba-
a fucking pop, bro.
this was basically like having this big unveil, like big reveal for a completely new character that no one's ever seen before, and then acting like everyone's familiar with him. It was really weird.
It's odd.
It should have been Medusa, bro. If you're gonna do that, it should be like a legend that's not gonna wrestle, but it's gonna like be there to back up, the women's champion Britt Baker.
She's shown up on AEW before, man. Wasn't she with the one who like sort of like established the AEW Women's Championship like in a segment for like the first champion or something? Like, I fucking don't know.
I don't know, bro.
But like they could have been anyone, man. Like when I saw that and I was like, holy shit, like this could literally be anyone. Like that could fucking be a wig.
Like,
And
oh
they
my
could've-
God, it's Tori Wilson. Like
It would have been great if it was Mickey James to help promote that NWA Empower women's wrestling pay-per-view. That would have been what a way to make an impact there to fucking to promote your upcoming pay-per-view, then have Mickey James come out and fucking side with the AEW World Women's Champ.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
would have
reckon,
been that would have been a real moment, but instead it just was a fart in church, just completely flat.
I'm sorry
Jamie
to Jamie. Like, I'm sure she's a fantastic performer and she's probably a very nice person, but for a group of guys like us that don't know who she is, this is not the spot to bring her back. And DJ, you alluded earlier to this was for that Smart Mark diehard. I don't even think those people could tell it was her, because I googled, image searched her, and her hair was orange and black 2 years ago. Now it was like this crinkle, like blonde hair.
If you're sitting in the rafters, you're not going to know who the fuck that is. Like,
literally, like,
if it was like a redhead, you'd be like if it was like, oh my God, that's Lita, that would be instantly recognizable and get a huge pop. It's just, it wasn't fair on her to put her in that position. And I know fans have a tendency of kind of fantasy booking the shit that they want, that can sometimes be a bit far-fetched. But I don't think that this was objectively the appropriate way to debut or return Jamie Hayter to TV.
Like, if this was the opening match on the show, maybe I wouldn't have fucking batted an eyelid and be like, oh, they're just bringing a new person in. But because it was ending the show, you're expecting this epic finish to the first ever episode of Rampage.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just like the show started up here and then just slowly but surely went downward.
Yeah.
And maybe it bumped back up when Britt Baker came out, but then Red Velvet comes out.
And where the fuck's Ty Conti, man?
I don't know, dude. I don't know why they haven't fucking had her on any of the main shows for months.
I have to say this, though, in defense of the overall show, I was happy that it wasn't overloaded with fucking factions and an entourage of 10 people coming to the ring for every match.
Yeah.
So that's a plus. That's in the plus column.
All right, before we sail off into the sunset, guys, I want some quick thoughts and some other things here. What would have you liked to have seen on this episode that we didn't get to see? I'll start with you, Jack.
I would have liked to have seen like a gimmick match of some sort. You've got a massive like premiere, like I would have liked to see just like, see, I don't know, because I just haven't been watching week to week. Like I want to sit here and say I would have liked Darby Allin to have like a fucking, like a random fucking hardcore match with someone just to fucking hot shot the show, because, it's a brand new show on the fucking AEW's show or schedule.
Yeah.
On a big network. So you'd want to have some big matches, big, exciting matches. Obviously, you've got Christian Cage and Kenny Omega. Great. Perfect for this show. Feugo Del Sol versus Miro. I mean, in my opinion, save that for Dynamite. Miro, of course, could have, definitely defended the TNT title on the show. I don't want to knock that and take that off, as you guys mentioned, but definitely a different opponent. As for the main event, I definitely wouldn't have had, Red Velvet versus Britt Baker, but that's just me. I guess, I would have liked to have seen Darby Allin have a match. He's always exciting. People get very excited for that, and that would have been a great opener, something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Other than that, it's just, I don't know. It's 50 minutes of TV, dude.
Yeah, look, I would have
It's true.
had 2.0 come out and get a quick victory over a lesser tag team because they need a win going into their match against Darby Allin and Sting to at least add some semblance of credibility to the team, because at the moment they have no esteem. And at least if they'd had like a 5-minute squash here on Rampage, it would also be showing viewers that, hey, if you tune into both shows, you're going to miss things if you don't tune into both shows here.
Yeah.
I could have used a bit more of the, like, from the tag division, but that's about it. Otherwise, I think they actually did pretty well in terms of pacing for this show.
They normally stack their shows with just so many tag matches. So like I agree, like a tag match would have been nice, but it was also nice just to see no tag matches on an AEW show for once.
Yeah. I guess for me, I wouldn't have had Red Velvet in that spot at all. I would have had Thunder Rosa interrupt Britt a few weeks ago because they already have a pre-existing relationship on screen, feuding with each other. And if you had them in the title match for the main event here, you might not have known who was going to win. It wouldn't have been a foregone conclusion. You knew Red Velvet wasn't going to win, but you might think at least Thunder Rosa has a chance. And you could always do some sort of fucking bullshit ending with Britt cheating to win. She's got Rebel at ringside with her. So you could always do that and then build to All Out where you do, another big rematch between the two of them or something like that. I don't know. I just think we've got to get away from these matches where you know who's going to be the winner from the outset. All right, guys. Well, that being said, we're going to get your ratings out of 10 for Rampage, and we're going to start with Joosey Boy.
I'd probably give this a 7.5. A lot of that is bolstered by the Impact Championship match, which I thought was one of the best matches I've seen so far in my time watching AEW.
Jack?
5.5. Like, it was just a week. Like, I'm going to go a flat 5, actually. It was just a week show, pretty much after the Christian celebration. I mean, again, like we were saying, like at the start of the show, like during the Christian and Omega match, like, this is only an hour long, and these guys have taken up half the show, and it just felt like the rest of the show just was an afterthought, man. Like, it was nothing really that is going to stick with me. But that Christian and Omega match, that, that's something memorable. Christian had a big career moment there, and I think seeing him as Impact champion was great again. But 5.5 for me. Week show. I mean, for a season premiere, it just could have been so much more. Well, not a season premiere, new show altogether. Could have been so much more.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. And all of those 5 points go to Omega versus Christian's match. Everything else in the show, apart from Britt Baker just being on the screen, and Miro, nothing against him either, but everything else on the show, aside from Mark Henry, he did a great job in commentary. I will say that.
Oh yeah.
And I liked hearing Taz out there as well, but everything else wasn't really much of a fan of. Felt like they had all this time to write this show, and they have a little bit of retooling to do, I think, for Rampage. I think they need to give it a better look, a different look, different stage, and make it stand out and look completely different to Dynamite, not just look like this was also recorded on Dynamite, but we didn't have enough time to air it on the show. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for me. Don't know. I don't know how Rampage is going to go going forward. I just don't know if it just seems like it's too short of a show to make it seem prestigious, no matter what matches they put on it.
For me, it's like it's necessary because they've just got such a large roster now. But then again, you've got your roster wrestling 30 matches on YouTube every fucking day.
Yeah.
So I mean, at the same time, part of me just feels like Rampage was a little too soon. I feel like they needed a couple more years before they added another show on. Even if they were going to do that, 2 hours. 1 hour is for what they do, and the content they want to put out is not enough. I feel like tonight's show could have been much better if they did like a 2-hour special. They would have had another hour. Would have had more time for especially the Miro stuff. Feugo, that could have been not as rushed, I felt. And of course, Britt Baker and Red Velvet. We've spoken enough on that already, but that could have used either a bit more time like building up on the night for us to believe in Red Velvet, or just even just cut it all together. I don't know. But yeah, for me, like the shows, it's not long enough for what they want to accomplish.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, there it is. Our AEW Rampage review, the very first episode. I'm going to go to you first, Jack, to plug everything that you want to plug. Where can everyone find you?
Everyone can find me at Twitter, even though I don't really use it much other than a retweet Twitter shit, network Twitter stuff, at Mr. 55 Live. It's down here in the
wherever it is on the screen.
Down that corner down there. And then you can also find me on Instagram at Wallace, but that WVLLACE. There you go.
Excellent. Joosey Boy, where can they find you?
Yeah, man. Go on any social media platform, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, fucking Facebook. And you can find me if you search in Joosey Boy, JOOSEYBOY, and stay on track with all the happenings in the Joosey verse. And yeah, I'll see you there.
Excellent. And I am at Karlifornia WZWA on Twitter. That's KARLIFORNIA WZWA. You can also find us on youtube.com/WZWA Network and twitch.tv/WZWA Network. And of course, if you just type in WZWA Network on Instagram, etc., you'll find us all over the fucking joint. But guys, thank you very much for joining me here today for the review. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having us, Carl. And thank you, DJ, for being here too.
Yeah, and thank you, Jack, also for being here. And thank you, Carl, for being such a gracious host.
You're all welcome. Thank you. And again, thank you everyone out there for watching the AEW Rampage review here on the WZWA Network. I'm Karlifornia Fury, alongside Joosey Boy, alongside Mr. 55 Jack Savage, and we will see you next time. Thank you.